Our scripture this morning is from 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 6 through 15. This is Paul writing to the believers in Corinth. The point is this: the one who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and the one who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Each of you must give as you have made up your mind, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And God is able to provide you with every blessing in abundance, so that by always having enough of everything, you may share abundantly in every good work. As it is written, He scatters abroad, He gives to the poor, His righteousness endures forever. He who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will supply and multiply your seed for sowing and increase the harvest of your righteousness. You will be enriched in every way for your great generosity, which will produce thanksgiving to God through us. For the rendering of this ministry not only supplies the needs of the saints, but also overflows with many thanksgivings to God. Through the testing of this ministry, you glorify God by your obedience to the confession of the gospel of Christ and by the generosity of your sharing with them and with all others. While they long for you and pray for you because of the surpassing grace of God that He has given you, thanks be to God for His indescribable gift.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's my privilege to introduce this morning our speaker, Stephanie Holmes. She is the Executive Director of the ICC Foundation. She has lived in Peoria since grade school. She has worked at ICC for 10 and a half years. She's on the board of the Peoria Area Chamber of Commerce. She's the president-elect of the Association of Fundraising Professionals, an organization devoted to the ethical practices of fundraising. She's going to speak to us about ICC's general involvement in the community, then specifically about their scholarship program, and then about the involvement of University United Methodist Church and the UMW in our scholarship program as well. Stephanie, it's a pleasure to have you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I like to walk around, so I hope that doesn't bother you too much. It's I don't feel like I deserve the honor of standing here. But I'm very excited to be here. I am very impressed when I walked in and some of the faces I've seen. I've actually encountered before in my life, and we were just reminiscing a little up here about a childhood friend that her aunt has been part of your choir here. So that's awesome. And I see a lot of familiar faces. So just thank you for having me here today. I'm so honored to share with you more about ICC and the things going on in our community. As she mentioned, my name is Stephanie Holmes, and I feel like I'm coming back a little bit to my roots. I have to tell you a little story. My undergrad, I did take some classes at Illinois Central College, and then went on to Lincoln Christian University, where I received my bachelor and master's degree. So in my previous life, I had the wonderful opportunity of going around to churches the spring semester every year and sharing about Lincoln Christian University and being an advocate for that school as well. So this is truly an honor to be in front of you, and I thank you for your time. I wanted to start out today talking to you about ICC and our mission. In your program, you may have noticed part of our mission statement, and that's through learning, minds change, and we believe by changing minds, we can change the world. And this has been something that has stuck with me very strongly in my time at ICC, because I have seen the many individuals who have given back to our students, the staff and faculty that give each day to make sure our students' barriers are broken so that they can achieve their educational goals and dreams. So I want to thank you for your commitment to ICC and how you are helping change lives in this community. So thank you so much for that time that you're committing and those resources you're committing to these students. I want to start out just telling you a little story about something that happened to me earlier this summer. I encountered a gentleman, and I was with a few of my colleagues, and the gentleman said, you know, ICC, your donors and your programs, it's like the Grand Canyon. And I kind of, okay, the Grand Canyon? That's a little odd comparison. And he said, the Grand Canyon, what form of Grand Canyon? I hope you'll be interactive with me today. I know there's a lot of controversy, and I don't know if there's any geologists in the room that will go back in the history of how the Grand Canyon was formed, but ultimately, how was the Grand Canyon formed? Anyone have any idea? Erosion? Water. So water caused the Grand Canyon. I was like, okay, where's he going with this? So he said, you know, it didn't happen immediately, but over time, water created what we know of the Grand Canyon today. So I kept thinking about this in my head, and as the summer went on, I kept thinking back to this story and still was perplexed in what he was comparing our donors and our programs to the Grand Canyon. So just keep that in the back of your head as I talk for a moment, because I hope to share upon you what I came to realize about the Grand Canyon. So this year has been very important for ICC as we just finished 50 years, our 50-year celebration of serving this community. And in those 50 years, over 400,000 minds were impacted in our community. Students have come into us to improve upon their skills, to receive degrees. We've had the great honor of having some very accomplished alumni, not only in our community, but in the world. And that was a pretty remarkable moment. So in my mind, I'm thinking about the Grand Canyon, and I thought, drip. There's a drop of water. There's something that we did that we made an impact. And then, as I went on to think about it, I started thinking about a lot of the things going on right now in our economy. And again, I hope you interact with me. Does anyone know how many adults in our community have a post-secondary credential? Any idea? 40%. Only 40% of the adults in our community have a post-secondary credential. Statistics tell us now that, unfortunately, in order to have a sustaining economy, you need 60% of your adult population to have a post-secondary credential. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean, I'm not up here to advocate and say all individuals have to go to college and get a college degree, because by all means, we know not all students are college-bound. But post-secondary credentials can be accomplished in multiple ways. Military service, apprenticeships, training on the job, but we need those certifications in order to have a sustaining economy. So we're at 40%, and we need 60%. We need to flip those numbers. In order to be a growing economy, statistics say that you need 70% of your adult population to have a post-secondary credential. 70%. So again, in my head, I was thinking about the things that ICC can do to make a change, and again, drip, drip, that water, creating that Grand Canyon and making a difference. As we went on throughout the summer, we have a new president who's been with us a couple of years now. I hope you've had the privilege of meeting her, seeing her on TV. Her name is Dr. Sheila Court-Bailey, and she comes to us with a strong background in workforce development and apprenticeships. So this past year, especially in this past summer, we spoke a lot about how we can make a difference in this community. And one thing has been committing to dual credit and dual enrollment for our high school students. This has been something that we have felt very strongly about, as we believe if a student has a strong foundation during their high school years in taking college courses, this then helps them be more successful when they go on for their college degrees. In addition, you may have seen in the news, we've done a lot of expos and different exciting things and trying to show students that you can have degrees in a plethora of areas. We just had a expo for agriculture, which was amazing. We had over 200 students show up on campus, and they got to kind of have a petting zoo, I called it, with large equipment, and got to see what they could work with in the future. This past week we had a manufacturing expo for high school students to come on campus and learn more about the career opportunities right here in Peoria in the manufacturing industry so that we can help get them on the right track in making their career choices. And again, not only help them be sustainable, but help our economy be sustainable. In addition, you may have seen a new marketing campaign, the Smart Choice. We believe strongly that ICC is the smart choice. I know it was a smart choice for me when I was a high school student. My world was turned upside down, as unfortunately my father was in an accident and he passed away. And I had told you I had this, went to Lincoln Christian University, and that was my plan straight out of high school. Unfortunately, when this happened, we had additional expenses on my household, and I soon began to realize this may not be a reality. ICC afforded me this reality. My senior year of high school, I was able to take classes during the evening that allowed me to be able to finish my general education courses and be able to keep that commitment to go on to Lincoln Christian University and finish my other courses. So it made a big impact in my life, in my situation. Another thing about the smart choice is it's affordable. I hate when people say we're cheap. We're not cheap. Cheap makes it sound like you're not getting something of quality. We're an affordable option. We have awesome professors and faculty that are committed to our students, that each day go above and beyond, contacting our offices and letting us know of students that are facing terrible times and that they don't want to see them give up on their commitment to their education. So how can we help? And that's the beauty of our foundation and the donors that give to us so generously, is that we're able to help these students, no matter what their need is, to be successful in their lives. So, again, I continue to think about this Grand Canyon story. We have a big event each year called Community Celebration, and I know a few of you have been there. It's a time that we celebrate our scholarship recipients each year and those who invest in their future. And community celebration is no easy feat. It's coming up in a week. 1,000 individuals join us each year. 1,000. I have a very small staff. There's 4 of us, and we put on an event for 1,000 people. It's a little nerve-wracking. I may be a little stressed out today. But as we were preparing for this event, one of my staff had made contact with a local business that had some things that we could use for this event. And she asked me, is there any way you can stop by and pick this up, because their supervisor is going to put these things aside for us. And I said, I have a meeting out, I'll be happy to do that. So I stop by this business and I walk up, and as I'm waiting for the attendant at the register, I know she's crying. I'm like, oh no, what did I walk into? So I wait my turn, and as I approach her, I tell her why I'm there and that the supervisor is supposed to leave something for me. And she said, trying to contain herself, hang on, just a minute, let me go in the back and check on that. So she goes to the back, and I hear her moving around, and she comes back out, and she is just so apologetic. She said, I'm so sorry, I think she locked the items up in her office. I will get a hold of her. We can call you tonight, you can come back tonight, or even tomorrow, and we'll get these items for you. And I could tell she was just distraught. And I said, it's all right, it's all right. She goes, just give me your number and your name, and I'll get a hold of you. I said, better yet, I have my business card with you. Let me leave that, and then you can get a hold of me. It's not, we have time, it's fine, I can get these items later. So I lay my business card on the desk, and the individual looks down at it, and she goes, you work at ICC? And I said, yes. And she said, that's why I'm crying. And I'm like, oh no, what did we do? So it had me a little scared, and so I said, oh, I'm sorry. I go, is there something I can help you with or anything? She's like, I'm a terrible mother. I'm a terrible mother? Because of ICC? Why does this woman think she's a terrible mother? So at this point, I'm getting really worried. And she goes on to share with me that her daughter was not going to be able to enroll at ICC this year because she didn't have the finances to put her daughter through school. And that already broke my heart, and I was ready to cry there right with her. And she then went on to share with me that unfortunately her daughter's father and her had gotten a divorce. And upon their divorce, he was going to take on the expenses of college for their daughter. And while she's working this job, it just wasn't enough to help pay the college tuition. And unfortunately, Dad wasn't paying the college tuition as he promised. The daughter had previously, the year before, signed up for classes at ICC and taken those classes and accrued the debt, but didn't have the means to pay for those courses. So she had a bad mark on her account because she had an outstanding bill. So she couldn't enroll this new school year. This was a week before school started this year. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, how can I help this woman? Because I don't want her to feel like she's a bad mother because of ICC. So I looked at her and I said, well, I work in the Educational Foundation at ICC and we give out scholarships. And she looked at me and she puts her hand out and she's sobbing at this point. And I said, would a scholarship help? And she's just losing it. And I'm trying to break the silence, and if anyone knows me, sometimes I do that with an inappropriate joke or awkwardness because you just don't know how to react in these sensitive situations. And I said, if she's a music major, I have a full ride. She lost it and beelined it to the back of the room and is bawling back there. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? What can I do to help the situation right now? She walks back out to the front desk and starts to contain herself, and she said, my daughter's a music major. Well, good news for you. I have a remaining scholarship for a music major. So I told her, give me your name, your number, and I will get a hold of you, and we can see if your student matches the criteria of this scholarship and help remove this barrier so she can come to school this year. So I get in my car, and as I'm driving back to work, hands-free appropriately, I call my office, as I generally do, and the girls at work always know I'm going to ask them a few questions about a student that I'm trying to help. 1, what is the student's program of study? 2, what is their GPA? And 3, how they apply for financial aid through our government. So the girls are looking this information up for me, and I about lost it. They informed me that this student had a 3.825 GPA. 3.825 GPA, and she was not going to be able to go to school and continue her education because of finances. This broke me. So I had made it my mission from that day that we were going to get this student within 1 week, all her paperwork turned in, and get her enrolled and get her this scholarship. I am proud to say that next Monday morning, she was in her classes, and we helped her be able to go to ICC. So it was a pretty exciting time for us to be able to remove just one barrier for one student. But the thing is, there's so many individuals that have removed barriers for our students at ICC. And that's when I kept thinking about back to that Grand Canyon story. You see, it was just perplexing me that he had made this comment that I started to research online the Grand Canyon, and it said it wasn't a single event that created the Grand Canyon, but something that happened over time. And each of these things that we do, that drip, 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 each action is making a difference in our community and making a difference in these students' lives. And I know for sure that there's one young lady today that is having a great time. I've seen her on campus, and she's interacting and changing her life, and hopefully will change her family's life as well. So that's all thanks to our donors, and that's how the donors in the Grand Canyon are similar. I want to talk to you more about scholarships, as you have played a very important part in scholarships at ICC. The ICC Educational Foundation, we do numerous things at ICC for our students. We help get the resources and the funds to build new buildings. If you've seen our Peoria campus, we have a lot of exciting things happening there with our Health Careers Institute, our Culinary Arts Institute, and a new student center where students can get resources to help them be successful in their classes through tutoring and library support. We provide technology for the classroom. There's something called eye clickers, and I don't know if you had this wonderful opportunity when you were in school, because I know I didn't, but how many of you were kind of shy in the classroom when you were maybe in grade school or high school and were afraid to answer questions? These eye clickers are pretty neat. A professor can put a question up on the board for the class to respond to, and they have a little remote control, and they can pick the answer multiple choice. And that way the professor knows if everyone in the classroom is retaining the coursework before moving on to the next subject matter. Pretty neat things that we have now. So the foundation was able to provide those tools in the classroom because of our generous donors. But the students most importantly know us for these scholarship benefits, as it provides direct financial support to them. And we have been so blessed by the donors in this community that we offer over 600 scholarships totaling more than $750,000 every year to our students. And your scholarship is one of those. And I cannot thank you enough for the ladies in this church and their commitment to making sure that this scholarship is awarded each year, and that it's being given to a student in need and helping them make a difference, because it truly does. In 2009, the scholarship was formed, and since that year, we've had 10 academic years of supporting students. We had our 10th student this year. And I would like to share one of the stories with you of the most recent scholarship recipient. Her name is Jacqueline. Dear sponsor of the United Methodist Women of University United Methodist Church Scholarship. My name is Jacqueline, and I am a disabled single mother who has returned to college at the age of 36. I was born with a severe speech disability. I have worked since I was 16, but the economy took a turn for the worse, and I was forced out of my managerial position. During the same time, my parents divorced, and I, along with my mom and brother, found ourselves homeless. Just before the divorce, I underwent treatment for cervical cancer, and after the divorce, I became pregnant. While I was pregnant, the man wanted me to get rid of the child, so I got rid of the man. And I have the sweetest 6-year-old ever. After being forced out of a job, I applied for disability, and it has been a means to support my son and I since then. My mom helps with my son, but still leaves little time for schooling. It's with love and love-filled heart that I like to thank you very much for awarding me your $1,000 scholarship. Life's journey has had many twists and turns, and this money will help me take some of the classes that I need to pursue my degree in business management. This degree is important to me because I want my son to be proud of his mother, and I want to show the world that even though I am disabled, I'm an educated woman. And thank you, and may God bless you for the kindness and generosity. Respectfully, Jacqueline. Isn't that our hope? That our students' lives are positively impacted, and we make change on those lives? That they are not, your dollars are not only helping these individuals, but it's making a difference in the life of their family and ultimately our community, because they will be able to support themselves and be able to provide a family-sustaining wage that will help their family in the future. And I can't thank you enough for that. I want to thank the women of the University United Methodist Church for always standing up and making a difference for this scholarship. Their impact, I cannot tell you enough as I had the chance to interact with these students. One of the greatest pleasures of my job is I get to have this interaction. Our donors don't always get to have that face-to-face interaction with our students, and you truly are making a difference, and I can't thank you enough. I have a question. If you supported this scholarship, will you raise your hand? Drip, 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 drip. That canyon's getting deeper and deeper because we're making a difference in this community. I just want to thank you again so much for this commitment. There's a lot of things that the women here are trying to do. And you may have heard them speak about endowing this scholarship. Annually, $1,000 is given away each year to the students. But for perpetuity, a gift of $20,000, a gift of $20,000 for perpetuity can award a scholarship forever. And they have been very committed, checking in with me regularly to see where they are on their account balance, what they can do to add to it and grow the fund. And I know they're reaching out to you for that help today because they want to see University United Methodist Church make a difference in this community. So I ask that you think hard and think if it's something to do, if it's something you can do, and help removing a barrier for a student's life. I like to be interactive. I would like to open up for questions from the congregation and see if I can help provide more information about ICC. I hope that through this time, you don't see me just as someone asking for additional resources for the students, but I want to equip you to know what we offer so that you too can help students' lives in the community and be advocates for us when you're out speaking with others. Because truly, I believe strongly that there's a lot of worthy nonprofits in this community, but ICC has been a great place to work because I know that the work we do is changing lives in students and helping them improve their lives so that they can improve the lives of others. So thank you again for having me, and I would love to welcome questions. Anyone? Yes.
What percentage of your students are non-traditional?
Non-traditional. I do not know the exact percentage, but I will tell you that our student population right now, we're averaging about the age of 23, which I would see a strong portion of them being non-traditional, but I don't want to misspeak and give you the exact inappropriate percentage. Obviously, we are going above the national average as a community college right now against the others in the nation on recruiting our traditional students at the high school level, but we have made a stronger impact on reaching out to those non-traditional students because of the statistic I just shared about only 40% of our adult population has a post-secondary credential. So that is something we are increasing our efforts on in our marketing, and our recruiters are trying to get out in the community and meet them where they may be at in life. Any other questions? Oh my goodness, you're quiet. Well, again, I thank you so much, and I ask that you just continue to be that drip in someone's life, and I thank you all for what you do for this community. It's obvious that you are very community-minded in the snack packs, and it's just great to hear all these things that you're doing, because our community needs it. There's a lot of hurt and brokenness, and you can help mend those hearts, and I will tell you, I was surprised when I first came to ICC, the number of individuals that couldn't provide for themselves things like food and resources, and the homelessness. It just wasn't, it was something I was blind to before coming there. And there's a strong population here that needs that additional help, and you're going above and doing that, and I can't thank you enough.